Hello to all our followers and welcome to this new episode of 5 Minutes. Today we talk about how not to buy weapons, insights from defense acquisition and procurement with our guest Professor Ron Smith, Professor of Applied Economics at Birkbeck University of London. Ron, very welcome to 5 Minutes. We are very delighted to have you here with us. Ron, this interview takes inspiration from your recent book titled Defense Acquisition and Procurement, How Not to Buy Weapons. So my first question is, you are an expert of economics of defense. What do we mean by economics of defense?
Okay. So the defense economics is partly about managing the defense budget, how much to spend, how to finance the budget, partly what to spend it on, troops, weapons, things like that. But it's also more general questions about what are the causes of conflict and what are the economic dimensions of war. So it covers a very wide variety because there's a lot of money spent on defense.
So how does a defense department decide what weapons to buy?
In principle, what they do is they think about the threat, then think about the forces, the weapons, troops needed to counter that threat. Then they'd think about the money that will be invested in providing those forces, and at an optimum, the marginal benefits from security would just balance the opportunity costs, what you're giving up in order to finance that defense. But of course, in practice, you don't know any of those things. The people who attack you are not the people you expected to attack, and the weapons don't work as you expected. So in practice, it's much more a matter of muddling through bureaucratic politics and inter-service rivalry.
So what are the main causes of weapons procurement failures then?
Firstly, there's technological uncertainty. These weapons last a very long time. B-52s, which were developed in the 1950s, are still flying as part of the main part of the US Air Force. And you don't know what the technology is going to be like available in the future. And in principle, you want to sort out the technology with technology demonstrators, but very often they don't do that. And even worse, they develop the aircraft or the weapon system at the same time as they're producing it. So that runs into a whole load of problems. In addition, they keep changing the requirements and the specifications, partly because different people come along, partly because their perception of the threat changes. And then the people doing it very often are not in jobs very long. They perhaps have 2 years, then go on to do something else. And the incentives are both the sort of cost plus contracts and the fixed price contracts, all sorts of incentive problems. So there's all sorts of reasons that buying weapons is really hard, which causes them to be late, cost more than expected, and underperforming.
So the last question, what does your book suggest governments should learn from past mistakes?
That they've never learned from past mistakes before. There's a book called Weapons Acquisition, The Futility of Reform. The thing is, there's lots of things that you could recommend that they should do. And these reforms have always recommended, back from Solly Zuckerman's one in the 1960s. Every 10 years or so, they have recommendations for reform, but the incentives are not there. So even though they propose reforms, like doing technology demonstrators up front, nobody wants to do them. The military, because if you do the technology demonstration, it may demonstrate the technology doesn't work, in which case the firms are going to be unhappy because they've lost a contract. The military is going to be unhappy because they've not got this weapon into the plan. So the incentives, the reform ideas are good, but the incentives are against them in many of these cases.
Ron, thank you so much for this inspiring discussion. We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you here again at 5 Minutes.